Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. Today I want to talk to you about getting through the day. More and more people are getting in touch with me to talk to me about how isolated they feel, how with the winter coming and the weather getting colder, they're finding it really hard sometimes to get out of bed and do what they have to do for themselves and their kids, for their job. It seems as the months go by, people are just accumulating more worry and more stress. And although there's been some good news lately that there's a vaccine on the way, it's very hard to watch people suffer, people to be unemployed, people to be sick. So how can we do this? How do we get through the day when the first thought that we have when we wake up in the morning is, oh, I can't believe there's a pandemic. I can't believe I have to homeschool my children. I can't believe I'm still looking for a job. I can't believe how much work I have. What are some tools that we could use to not just get through the day, but have an okay day or have a good day? And the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, and I feel it the minute my feet hit the ground, I'm reminded automatically of what's going on in the world. And the first thing I do is I go back to my breath and I take 10 very deep breaths to ground myself. And then I get up and I do a couple of other things. And then I watch my thoughts start to move. And the minute they start to move, especially in the morning time, you start to think about your worries, about your children, about your job, about what you have, what you don't have. And when I find that happens, I immediately switch it to prayer. Now, although I'm not a religious person, I do have a strong belief in God or universe or Mother Nature. And so if you're listening and you do have that connection, that sense, then just flip your worries. Flip them immediately and start to pray. Pray to have relief for your stress. Pray that things get better. Whatever is bothering you, just flip it into a prayer. And it feels so much better to put it out there as an ask for help or support than it is to be worrying within ourselves and it's spiraling down. And if you don't have that kind of connection, then still pray. Pray to yourself. Instead of saying, I can't get through this day, I don't have what it takes, I pray today that I have the strength. I ask myself to come forth my strongest self to do the best I can. So whether you're praying to a higher source or you're praying to yourself, it feels like you're building on something. It feels like you're strengthening something instead of just letting that worry get the best of you. And after I go through that process, I feel better. I feel hopeful. And then I know I've talked about this before, but I also do a gratitude practice. We have such a tendency to go into lack so easily. The minute we don't like something, the minute we're stressed, the minute we're worried, we automatically start thinking about everything that's wrong. But when you become so aware of the people in your life and the opportunities that you have and the moment you're in, it feels better. So what's happening here is we're not letting the outside world drive us insane because we keep going back to the inner world, that place within us where we cultivate the strength and we cultivate the resilience and we cultivate what we need to get through the day. And then as I start working and I start moving and things start coming up, I always have the maybe practice by my side. And I know I've gone over it in so many podcasts, so you could check out any podcast that has the word maybe in it or stress. But maybe is the hope within the unknown because we don't know what's going to happen next. Even just look at the vaccine. I was looking at some old articles when they were talking about the vaccine, and a lot of people were pretty negative about it. And they were writing about the fact they thought it was only going to be 50% effective or 55% effective. And we just found out last week that it's 95% effective. Sure, there needs to be more tests and needs to be more approval, but we didn't expect that. And that's what the unknown does. It brings us things we don't expect. So there's no reason to look towards the future and say it's going to be bad because we don't know. All we know is that we create our future in this moment. And all we know is life has maybe. And uncertainty is our best friend because if you want your life to change, it has to happen in the unknown. So what you don't know is filled with possibilities. And there's every reason to be hopeful. Hope is not based on the past. Hope is based on a future that we create today. And sometimes you could do the long maybe exercise, which I just did in the podcast, You Have What It Takes. Or you could just find some maybe mantras. Maybe everything's okay. That is my favorite mantra. I say it throughout the day. Maybe that thought's not true. We just have a tendency to believe our thoughts, and they're just thoughts. They're like clouds that pass in the sky. Often they're based on fear or negativity. So when you say maybe that thought's not true, you give yourself another option, another possibility that might be out there. Maybe things will get better. And maybe there's something for me to experience in this moment other than my fear. And that always brings me back to see what's happening in front of me. Am I having a conversation with my daughter? Am I having a nice meal? Can I take a nice walk? We think life is always about this big thing that we've created, this big future. But life is really just a string of moments. And the moment that you're in is your reality. Another thing that I love to do is I love to slow down whenever I can and really connect with the moment that I'm in. Just today, I was peeling a potato and I was thinking about the projects I had to do and deadlines, and all of a sudden I stopped myself. I just watched myself peel a potato. I felt the potato. Thought about all the people that probably had touched the potato before me. Someone in a store, someone in a distribution company, someone at a farm. All these things had to happen for me to be holding this potato. And I just moved slow. I moved slow when I was peeling it. I moved slow when I was cutting it. I had appreciation. I had gratitude. And when I ate the potato, I did put it in an air fryer, mind you, but when I ate the potato, it just felt more special. It just had a beautiful energy to it. And I really didn't think much about anything else, and it was very pleasurable. And yes, when I was done eating, I had to go back to work, but I still had that experience. I still had that pleasure. I still had that joy. I still had that moment. And we can't discount that because that's important too. And I know in the United States, there's a big holiday coming up, Thanksgiving. And a lot of people are upset or disappointed that they can't have the holiday with friends and family like they usually do. And I understand that. I also am not going to be able to spend the holiday with the usual people that I get together with. And that's why it's even more important to reach for all of these tools, especially gratitude. And I know a lot of people will be having Zoom Thanksgivings, and we just need to keep making the best of it. That's one of the most important things in life. I know a lot of people believe that the best is always happening, and I'm not so sure about that. But what I am sure about is whatever we are given, whatever we have to face, one of the most important, resilient things we can do in life is make the best of it. And yes, we have to feel our feelings, and you don't need to pretend you're happy when you're not. But it's so important to reach for the blessings that are around us and the moment that we're in, and try our best to find what's special, what's glorious, what's beautiful, and not to miss it. I know I say this on every podcast, but this pandemic will end. And who will we be? Will we be stronger? Will we have built an inner world that can withstand turbulence in the outside world? Will we get to know ourselves better? Will we appreciate ourselves more? Will we be more present? Will our relationships improve? Will we have more love in our heart? And these are the things we can work on and cultivate each day. And these are the things that will help us get through the day. Our prayers, our gratitude, our maybe practice, our presence, and our ability to make the best of what we have. It's not a time to be thinking about lack. It's a time to be building on the blessings. And if you're lonely and you're isolated, it's a time to reach out to a neighbor, to a friend, and ask for help, and that's okay. This is definitely a challenging time, but I promise you, you have what it takes. You have what it takes to weather through this storm and to find your way, because the light will shine again in your life. And when it does, you want to be strong, and you want to be open, and you want to be ready to go out into the world and start again. So whatever you're facing during this holiday season, I send you my love, I send you my support. And always remember, you have maybe. Maybe everything will be okay. Maybe your thoughts are not true. Maybe things will get better. And always remember, maybe the best is yet to come. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my book, The Gift of Maybe, it's available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you like this podcast, you could subscribe and leave a comment.